So Canon has their entry-level line of cameras and their semi-pro mid-range line of cameras. So usually they identify this by the amount of digits in the camera's name. So the entry-level cameras are usually defined as the triple-digit D series, such as the cameras with the name 550D, 600D, 650D, 700D, and we have the mid-range or semi-pro line, which is the double-digit line, basically the 50D, 60D, and the 70D. So what is it that sets these two line of cameras apart? So they are, of course, priced differently. So what are you paying more for the semi-pro series versus the cheaper entry-level series? So in terms of specs really speak for themselves. So for that reason, I won't be talking too much about specs in this video. And so with specs aside, I'll be mainly talking about the physical build of these cameras compared, well, mainly the ergonomics and those little bits of features that sets these two lines apart, and the little bits of hardware that make the small difference between semi-pro and entry-level. Let's take a look. Alright, so what are the features of a semi-pro body that make it somewhat superior to the triple-digit entry-level bodies, otherwise known as the Rebel series? So for our semi-pro body today, I'll be using the EOS 70D as a demonstration, and for our triple-digit entry-level Rebel series camera, I'll be using a 650D, otherwise known as a T4i. Alright, so to start off, let's take a look at the grip. So as you can see, the grip on most semi-pro bodies is much larger compared to the grip of an entry-level body, and it has this like sort of a ridge which you can put your middle finger in. So let me grip the camera. Alright, so like so, it fits your hand a lot better, and it certainly feels a lot nicer. So if we compare it to the grip of a entry-level body, you can see it's somewhat tiny, and if you have big hands, it might be quite a problem for you because the grip would feel pretty uncomfortable. So compared again to the semi-pro grip, the much larger one, it definitely feels a ton better, and it does make a huge difference when you are holding it for a long period of time. Other than that, one of the biggest features that sets these cameras apart is the type of battery it uses. So from the ergonomics, you can already see the battery slot is in a different position. So as you can see, this one is actually inside the grip, whereas the one in the 650D is somewhere on the bottom of the camera here, and the placement of the slot itself already makes quite a difference. So in the semi-pro body, it's in the grip a fair distance away from the tripod mount. So when your camera is mounted to a tripod and it runs out of battery, it's a lot easier for you to change the battery because the battery door won't get in the way of the tripod's quick release plate, whereas with the other design, it might get in the way. So this is one big plus, and of course the battery type used. Now, as of now, the most common battery to be used with semi-pro and pro cameras is the LPE6 battery, which not only has a higher capacity compared to the LPE8 of an entry-level camera. Now the LPE6 batteries are a little bit more intelligent compared to the E8 batteries, simply because you can actually go into the camera's user interface and check the percentage of the battery that is left. Now, as far as I know, you can't really do this with the LPE8 battery with stock firmware, but with the LPE6 you actually can. So let me navigate to the battery menu. Alright, so as you can see, you can actually check how much of the battery is remaining in camera. So there's one, and we have the other, memory card door. Now most Canon DSLRs with SD cards have the memory card door on the side here. Even with CF cards, it's just bigger. But this is one tiny little feature that I've noticed, and that is on the EOS 70D. To open that slot, all I have to do is push it in and it springs out. Now on my 650D though, when I push it open, it doesn't slip out. I have to manually push it out. So it can be quite annoying, especially when I'm used to the flipping out mechanism. So every time when I want to replace my car, all I have to do is just one single move, push it out, and it's out. Whereas with the entry-level body, I have to push it out and flip it out, which can slow me down by, I don't know, half a second. But it's more of a luxury feature, but it's something there that makes your overall experience better. And moving along, you can see on most professional and semi-professional DSLRs, you have this AF on button right here. So basically the AF on button is positioned where your thumb would be as you are gripping the camera. So it's a dedicated button for you to engage your lens's autofocus, and this button, as far as I know, has not came up on any entry-level cameras yet, as far as I know. Now, viewfinder. So usually the semi-pro and pro DSLRs have a pentaprism viewfinder, whereas the entry-level line of DSLRs only have a pentamirror viewfinder. So a pentaprism viewfinder is a lot bigger and a lot brighter than a pentaprism viewfinder. So there's that. It sure looks a lot less depressing looking through a pentaprism compared to looking through a pentamirror, because it just looks so much bigger and brighter and it just feels better. So apart from that, we also have the eyepiece of the viewfinder. So not many people notice this, but with semi-pro bodies and pro bodies, the eyepiece is actually bigger. So it's also protruding more compared to the eyepiece of entry-level cameras. So what this does is when you look through the eyepiece, less of the tip of your nose actually presses against the screen, which can be quite annoying. So it does make a difference. So because the eyepiece protrudes further out, your nose won't hit as much onto the LCD screen. So with the shorter, blunter, and smaller eyepiece, basically when you look through the viewfinder, your nose just presses against the screen, which is annoying for your nose, and it dirties the screen because of that huge oily stain from your nose. So there's a small, nicely thought out feature. And of course, one of the main features that sets the semi-pro and entry-level bodies apart is that lovely LCD panel on the top of the camera. So alright, one of the main features between a entry-level body and a semi-pro body is that the dial would be over here instead of over here, and over here you have a nice big LCD panel to look at with a nice variety of control buttons on top of it. So alright, you can save some battery by looking at your shooting information on the LCD panel instead of the LCD monitor, which actually saves a huge lot of battery and it's much more convenient. There's that. And one of the biggest issues in my opinion is that a semi-pro body has two dials. So on an entry-level body you only have one dial, which is this one on the top here. But with all semi-pro and pro bodies, you have a secondary dial over here. So usually the top dial is for controlling shutter speed and the secondary dial is by default for controlling aperture. So having a dedicated dial for aperture control is really a huge plus for me, and it just makes your shooting experience that much better and more fluid. So for me, huge plus. And last but not least, the Popup Flash. Now, not many people use the Popup Flash for serious flash photography anyways, but still it's one part of the camera. So if you notice, if I pop up the flash on my EOS 70D, it does feel a lot more solid and rugged compared to the Popup Flash on my 650D. So mainly because if we take a close-up look over here, let me light this better, you have this extra bit of support here that makes your flash nice and sturdy. It doesn't wobble around once it's popped out. So this design here is not present on the entry-level bodies. So the entry-level bodies Popup Flash feels really plasticky, and at times it's wobbly and flimsy and it feels as if it might snap off if you hit it. So again, there's a very little minor feature that sets these two lines apart. So until then, that's all I can actually think of, comparing these two lines of cameras. So yeah, when you actually think about it, these are all some very small and minor features, but when they all add up together, they can really enhance your shooting experience and make working around the camera a lot easier. So thank you all very much for watching. If you have any questions, doubts, comments, do post them in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer them. So again, thank you very much for watching, subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next video.